Hi, I'm Annie Meehan, and I'm a motivational speaker that inspires people to think about their thinking. Maybe think differently, maybe agree with me, and maybe even disagree. Today, I want to teach you about parenting. Am I a parenting expert? No. Do I give good advice? Maybe. So I'm going to give you 3 parenting tips. You decide if you like them or not, and take what you like and leave the rest. But I do love parenting, and I'm really grateful to have raised 3 adult children. Often people will ask me, what's the best age, Annie? And I say, well, every age is wonderful, but 7 to 9 might be the most magical because that's when they still hold your hand, but they ask questions beyond why. Instead, they say, why are the stars like that? I'm wondering about this. Why did that happen? They have more detailed questions, but they still think you're quite amazing. They love to look up to you, and they think you are quite a hero, at least most of the time. 7 to 9 is quite magical. But today I want to give you 3 parenting advice. The first, you should make your kids drink pop. Now some people say, Annie, that is ridiculous. Well, I would like to tell you this. In our home, we have pop in the garage, pop in the laundry room, pop in the kitchen, pop in the family room. There is always pop around. So I tell my kids, please drink pop. And what do you think those 3 weirdos drink? That's right, they drink water. What kind of kids drink water when your parents have pop around you all the time? But they don't care. They like water. I mean, I try to drink water, but I do still like pop, especially Squirt. And if you know me well, you know that's my favorite. But I wonder, do you think that's good advice or bad advice? Let me just tell you this. We have raised 3 adult children, ages 21, 25, and 31. And their friends that don't get pop at home, well, they come to our house, they put pop down their shirts, pop down their backpacks, pop in their pockets, because they think pop has power, but it doesn't. You can have it or not. Our kids know that. I think sometimes when you're too restrictive, kids seek out and think that sugar or that pop or whatever it is has power. We have the power to choose to eat pop, drink pop, or eat candy or cookies or chips or whatever it is. So that's my first parenting advice. My second parenting advice, and I'm always cautious on this one because I mean no disrespect, and I know that for many people, having children is challenging. But if it's not, I'd like to advise you that if possible, have a minimum of 3 kids. Now, why 3? Here's why. And nobody tells you this. At any given time, if you have 3 kids, 1 will talk to you. I mean, who knew? I thought if I was a great mom, all my kids would talk to me all the time, and they would think I was amazing and wonderful. It doesn't work like that. They have their moods, they have their chapters, you have your chapters, people move and come back, all of that stuff. So if it's possible, have 3 kids, because then at least 1 will talk to you at any given time. I'm just kind of teasing, but it's something I've learned on my journey. But my third parenting advice, I'm kind of serious about. I think it is important, and that is this. If you have the privilege of having and raising a child, expose them to at least 5 colleges. Do I think everybody should go to college? Not necessarily. In fact, I wish more kids would go to the trade schools. But exposing them to 5 colleges for a couple of reasons. One, with each child, I would have the privilege of driving them to visit colleges. We'd visit different colleges, and after we left each one, we'd write down a list of what were 5 things we loved, what were 5 things that weren't so great about it. Because life is like that. Not everything plays out as you imagine. So it's good to have perspective. What was good about it? What wasn't good about it? So we'd visit 5 colleges, but one of the colleges, at least one, had to be at least 2 hours or more away from the house. Because what happens if you lock a teenager in a car for 2 hours or more, by accident, they will start to talk to you. They'll tell you stories. They'll tell you things they don't even want to tell you because it's the 2 of you looking forward, driving down the road. And a number of years ago now, I was driving with my youngest son to visit a college about 3 hours away. And he had driven. I always tease my kids. I had kids, so I'd have a driver, and they all like to drive more than I do. And he was driving along, and he said something to me that I thought was kind of strange. He said, hey, Mom, you know what? I'm more like Dad than you. I said, well, what do you mean? I mean, we're kind of like, no, I'm more like Dad. All right, I'm not sure what that means, but okay, why? He said, well, you know how you talk and then you think? Yeah. He said, I'm not like that. I said, okay. He said, I think about something some more, think about something a little more, and then here's the weird part. Then I decide if I'm going to talk or not. Who knew that talking was a choice? I mean, I thought you just did talk. You had a thought, it came out of your mouth. He said, no, Mom. Dad and I, we think a little more, and then we decide if we're going to talk or not. I said, okay. Then he said, I've been sitting in the back seat for 5 years, and I've been thinking about something. 5 years? I can't remember what I was thinking about 5 minutes ago. He said, since I was 12, I was in the back seat and I was thinking about Dad. There's something weird about Dad. I said, okay, now I can talk about that. There's a few weird things about Dad. He said, no, Mom, that's not the point. I go, okay, well, what are you saying? He said, well, you know, you old people, that's any of us over 25, you drive 10 and 2, your hands on the steering wheel. But us young people, we drive 9 and 3 because of the airbags. So now we've moved our hands down a little. He said, but Dad, you know how he's an athlete and he can throw a ball with his right hand. He can kind of with his left hand, but he's better with his right hand. He said, I've been sitting in the back seat since I was 12 thinking, Dad always drives with his left hand. Why does he drive with his left hand? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I never even noticed he drove with his left hand. He goes, well, I figured it out, Mom. I said, you did? Why? He said, Mom, Dad always drives with his left hand, so he has his right hand available to hold yours whenever you hold his. I was so moved by that story. I was sad at first because I thought, oh my gosh, I never even noticed. And here my 12-year-old in the back's noticing. But then I was thinking, oh my gosh, what are people seeing about you? I wanted to break the cycle of the stories that I had grown up in, believing that men's hands were violent. And so I always thought about who's in front of me, who's watching me. But sometimes we forget that who's watching us isn't just in front of us, they're to the side of us and maybe even behind us. And I wonder about your hands. What are your kids seeing from the backseat? Are they saying, sit, stop it, sit down? Or are they seeing you hold your spouse's hand? Hold their hand and use your hand toward gentleness and love. You see, because people are always watching us and what we do and what we say, even our 12-year-old children in the back seat, and then they're thinking about it for 5 years before they even tell you, if they even tell you what they saw. So when you think about how you show up, what words you use, what actions, remember that people are always watching you, in front of you, to the side of you, and even behind you. Remember that it is a privilege to have children and that they are experiencing even more what we do than what we say. So please think about how you act and what you say, always, but in particular, in front of your children. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want a little more encouragement on your journey through life or as you climb the corporate ladder, please check out my website at anniemeehan.com. And thank you so much for listening.